It is our top story tonight. Violent video games. Should they be banned or even restricted? Vice President Joe Biden met with leaders from the video game industry today to discuss the impact violent games have on kids. And there is plenty of pressure from politicians, parents, and other groups to pass laws limiting the access kids have to these games. But isn't it our job as parents and not the government's responsibility to make sure kids aren't playing these games? Joining me now is attorney Gregory Gianforcaro. Thanks so much for joining us, Greg. What do you think should be done here? Well,
I think there should be government intervention. I mean, look, who of us did not, when we heard about the Sandy Hook issue and the shootings, did not say, oh my gosh, here we go again? There just have been too many of these shootings.
How do you link that to video games, though?
Well, you know, the individuals, what happens is you find out that the individuals that are responsible for these shootings were exposed to these video games, and they've just become so sophisticated that they almost desensitize you, or they, in some cases, they may actually desensitize you.
Why did the video game make them do it? I mean, maybe the type of person who's naturally violent likes to play those video games. Why is it the fault of the video game? What's the chicken and the egg there?
Well, I think we have to stop the exposure. And you know what? I don't know if that's the answer, but I'd rather err on the side of caution. And I think that, and I get the fact that parents have to step in, and I get that. I mean, I'm a parent of 3 young children. And I feel as though it's my responsibility to step in and make sure that my kids aren't desensitized. Because not every parent really understands their obligation or their role in the situation. And I think that's the job in this particular situation. I don't know if you asked me that 20 years ago whether I would have had the same opinion. But I'm sick and tired of the shootings.
So would you ban the games altogether? Or you're just saying kids can't buy them if they're under a certain age?
I think under the certain age they should not be. Because I think they're more apt to have access and be desensitized at a young age.
But, you know, you say that it's parents who aren't paying attention that you're afraid of, but the parent's not paying attention and the store doesn't sell it to the kid's going to find it somewhere else or go over to their friend's house. I mean, the problem is that the parent isn't paying attention.
But you're doing something. You're doing something. And by holding, say, the one who sells them the game responsible, then, and I think if Best Buy were not allowed, say, use them as an example, and we're not allowed to sell under 18 age, under the age of 18, these games, they'll abide by it. Now, having access, I think what it is it brings out that kind of issue. It puts it out into the mainstream. And it's hopefully the answer. I don't know if there is an answer, but I'd like to try.
It seems like incrementally it couldn't possibly make a difference, that it is up to parents to sit there and say, you're not playing this game. I mean, I'm a parent, for example. I don't like SpongeBob. I think he's disgusting. I don't let my kids, I mean, I have little kids, so we're obviously talking about a totally different level. But I don't let them watch him. Of course they could go see him at a friend's house. They could see him when I'm not home. But they know I don't approve of it. They know how I feel about that. And that's what's set in their minds. I mean, wiping it off the face of the earth doesn't take away the temptation or the lesson or finding it out there somewhere else.
I agree, Melissa.
They need the message from the parent that this is not the way to behave or act or think.
Absolutely. But what's happening now is all the parents are not getting the message, and we have to do something, and that's the way I feel.
Why would this be the something that you would do? I mean, I would think, and this is the problem that we had yesterday when we talked about, automatic weapons, was the idea, why don't we start with the mental health conversation? I mean, it seems like that might be the point of origin when we're looking at, these young men who go out and do these mass murders, that it really, if we had started with a mental health conversation, that's sort of a point of departure where we could have netted all of these people.
I don't disagree with that, but we can't just stop there. We have to address the gaming industry, the game industry.
Okay.
And I think that that's an issue that we have to look at as well.
All right, Greg, thanks so much for coming on. And here's our money question of the day. Should violent video games be banned, or is it the parents' responsibility? Almost all of you said it is absolutely the parents' responsibility. Some of you are even upset that the White House is even spending time on this. We want to hear from more of you. You can like us on Facebook at Facebook.